You wake up, step out of bed, and trust the floor to hold your weight. You expect the sun to rise, your car to start, and gravity to keep you anchored to the earth. We move through our daily lives with absolute confidence that the patterns of the past will dictate the events of the future. In 2007, a former options trader named Nassim Taleb identified a flaw in that exact kind of confidence. To illustrate the problem, Taleb asks us to consider a turkey. Every single day, a farmer comes to the pen and feeds the bird. The turkey observes this repetition. It gathers empirical evidence. Eventually, it builds a mathematically sound, historically proven rule. Humans are benevolent creatures who provide free food. Then arrives the 1001st day. It is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The farmer walks out to the pen, and the pattern breaks. The turkey was not stupid. It observed, generalized, and predicted. It used the exact same logical method you and I use to survive, plan careers, and build financial models. The bird simply lacked the ability to account for what had not happened yet. The foundation of every confident expectation we hold rests on this exact same logical vacuum. We are navigating reality with a blind spot that we rarely acknowledge. In 1734, a 23-year-old college dropout named David Hume arrived in the quiet French town of La Flèche. He carried no credentials and had already failed as a lawyer and a merchant's clerk. But he arrived with a specific idea designed to expose the flaw in human reasoning that doomed the turkey. Hume was picking up a thread left by John Locke half a century earlier. Locke's primary intellectual target had been René Descartes. Descartes argued that humans arrive in the world with certain innate ideas, guaranteed truths built directly into the mind by God before we ever experience the physical world. Locke rejected this entirely. He argued that the mind at birth is a blank slate, a tabula rasa. Every single idea a human possesses is written there by physical sensation or internal reflection. There are no exceptions. This established the central rule of empiricism. If you cannot trace an abstract idea directly back to a raw physical experience, that idea has no legitimate claim on your belief. Hume took Locke's rule and applied it to our most assumed, unquestioned concept of all, causation. He designed a simple test. Watch this slow-motion footage of a white billiard ball striking a red one. What do your eyes actually observe? This animation isolates the exact sensory data we collect. You see the first ball move. You see the two objects make physical contact. You see the second ball move away. But look at the gaps highlighted here. The crucial data is missing. You never actually see the causing. You witness no physical particle of force transferring from one object to the other, and no visible law of physics dictating that the second ball must move. This led Hume to conclude that the necessary connection we feel between cause and effect does not exist in the physical world. It is an invention of the human mind. When you see that white ball rolling, your expectation that the red ball will move upon impact is driven by custom. It is a psychological habit formed by watching a sequence repeat itself over and over in the past. Logic does not carry us from yesterday's observation to tomorrow's expectation. Psychological conditioning does. The implication of Hume's idea is a paralysis of reason. If all our predictions rely on habit rather than observable proof, then human reasoning has no logical justification. Every scientific projection and daily expectation is built on an assumption we cannot prove. Decades later, philosopher Immanuel Kant read Hume and claimed the text woke him from his dogmatic slumber. Kant immediately set out to reverse the problem. This visualization maps Kant's solution. He argued that causation isn't a habit we slowly pick up from watching reality repeat. Instead, it is the structural software the mind actively imposes on raw sensory data to render a coherent reality in the first place. Hume's Scottish contemporary, Thomas Reid, mounted a different defense. He argued that our belief in causation is a foundational first principle of common sense. Reid insisted we do not need to justify our trust in cause and effect. It is the non-negotiable ground you must stand on to do any reasoning at all. If you abandon it, you cannot even begin to think. Both Kant and Reid offered philosophies functioning as necessary shields. They give us a way to protect ourselves from the prospect of living in a completely unpredictable universe. The irony of Hume's own life is that despite his discovery that logic could not prove causation, he still left his study, played backgammon, dined with his friends, and trusted the physical world to behave exactly as it always had. Custom is a practical necessity. To function day to day, to eat, to work, to plan, we have to act like the turkey. We have to rely on the habits of the past. The lasting value of Hume's philosophy is the intellectual humility it demands of us. It forces us to recognize that our most deeply held certainties are ingrained assumptions, not universal laws. By accepting our predictive blind spot, we trade the comfort of absolute certainty for the vigilance required to survive. We learn to expect the sun to rise while keeping an eye open for the 1001st day.